I was browsing the web today and came across a couple of articles that I found intriguing. On the one side, Marco D'Amico wrote about the Canadiens wanting to offload Carey Price's contract on September 1st to create cap space and flexibility. On the other side, you had Michael Del Rosa from the Hockey News, who was talking about a particular player needing to have another breakout season. Both of them are right. But what about this particular player needing to have a breakout season as the Canadiens' second-line center? Hey gang, Coach here from Puck Talk Montreal, and the dog days of summer are here, and it's always tough to find stuff to talk about, right? But today, a couple of articles got me to thinking. Why are we so anxious to make a deal? I understand. Mason McTavish is a very strong talent, but it's not like the Canadiens don't have talent in their lineup. It would be great to have him, but not to mortgage the future to get him. And it got me to thinking. Do the Canadiens have what it takes to be able to get to the next level and have a 2C in their roster this year? Well, Marco D'Amico on the website RG Media, who you should read, by the way, because he's awesome, had these three takeaways, according to sources. Number one, the Canadiens are being patient on the trade market this offseason. Number two, they're not getting rid of long-term assets like Michael Hage or David Reinbacher. And number three, September 1st is the target date to offload Carey Price's contract. So if all that is true, that bodes well for the Canadiens. It means they're going to have some cap flexibility. They won't have to stand pat and not be able to do anything. They will, of course, be able to go out and get another player, maybe two. Maybe they find that second-line center. But will they? I don't know. Pavel Zacha, Mason McTavish, everybody's been talking about it. But after reading what Michael Del Rosa had to say, I'm of the mind that Jake Evans might be our answer at 2C. Now, hear me out. Evans had 36 points last year. And that's no joke. 13 goals, 23 assists. He was a plus 10. And that's for a guy that, for the majority of the season, played third and fourth line minutes. But here's the trick. Another thing that I found out was that through all of that, he actually played as the second line center for the Montreal Canadiens through 4 or 5 games. The 4 that are outlined are games that he got points in. 5 points in these 4 games. So he shows that he's able to produce. The question is, can he produce at second line center? Here he is, second line center, rips a shot and scores. That one against the St. Louis Blues. And so, why wouldn't you want to put him out there? Here's another instance where he's in between Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook. He drops the puck to Newhook, and Newhook scores. Again, he's not on the third line. He's playing fourth line minutes. And, of course, you've got this goal against the Philadelphia Flyers. Broken stick by Gallagher, empty net for Evans. So we know he's got finish. And on this goal against the Blue Jackets, we also know that he can go top cheese without much issue as he puts that one into the top corner. So he's got all the tools. And he's responsible defensively. So aren't the Canadiens actually looking for a 200-foot center to play on the second line who can put up points and who can be the defensive conscience for guys like Laine and Demidov possibly? We've already got him. You've got Joe Veleno on one side, who is a redemption project. He wants to prove that he could still play at a high level in the National Hockey League. He's got the skills. It's the mindset that the Canadiens have to see whether or not he's still got. And so he can be fourth line. He could be third line. He could even be second line if they decide to do that in the preseason. See what he can bring to the table. But overall, Jake Evans is a veteran. Jake Evans has been a team player. He's been plugged in wherever the Canadiens have needed him. And personally, I think he deserves the promotion, whether it's permanent or not. And I know a lot of you are going to be out there, oh, he's not a second-line center. I'm not saying that he is. But the one thing that he provides the Canadiens in being the second line center over the short term is flexibility, not just from a salary cap perspective when they offload Carey Price's contract, but also from a management perspective, because Kent Hughes will not feel obligated or rushed to make a deal to get a second line center. He doesn't have to, because if somebody like Jake Evans can actually fill the void and be the second line center, then it allows the Canadiens time to let Michael Hage develop into that second line center that we're talking about long term. Or it allows other players like Owen Beck to possibly break through and get into the Canadiens lineup. There are all kinds of different scenarios. And you're going to have your left-handed centerman because Veleno's going to be in the lineup, or Alex Newhook can be your left-handed center. Even if he's playing on the wing, he could take faceoffs on certain sides of the ice. So there's flexibility. I don't see the rush to get a second-line center. We're not winning the Stanley Cup tomorrow. We're not winning it next year. We're still waiting on Jacob Fowler. We're waiting on David Reinbacher, who I think should be in the lineup as of this year. But hey, everybody else thinks I'm crazy, but that's just me. And I am crazy, so I don't blame them. But think about it for a minute. You've got the time to see where you're going as far as your prospects are concerned. You've also got time to see what happens with Patrick Laine. Does he take a discount for next season? That allows you more cap space, doesn't it? Because Laine likes it here. So why wouldn't he stay if, as an example, he scores 30 and 35 goals? If I'm the Canadiens, and by the time the trade deadline comes around, he's at the 25-30 mark, I can guarantee you he is not being traded. People do not trade 35 goal scorers in the National Hockey League these days, or let him go to UFA status. So it's all going to be on Laine. But at the end of the day, how do you say no to this? How do you say no to the Evans snipe? Really? You can't say no to the Evans snipe. It's impossible. Because Jake Evans has proven time and time again that he can be your defensive conscience, he can put up points, and he can play up and down the lineup. He may not be your number one center, but he's shown that he can play 2 through 4. So why not give him a chance? At least the first 10 games of the season, which will allow you a little bit more flexibility. Maybe allow Joe Veleno to show what he can do, and maybe you bump him up afterwards from 4th to 3rd or to the second line if you have to, based on his output. There's nothing that a coach and general manager wants more than options. Putting Jake Evans, who I know is going to play with his heart on his sleeve for the Montreal Canadiens, in the 2C hole, there's nothing wrong with that. Is it a long-term solution? Hell no. But I can go half a year with him there. I don't think he's going to be hurtful. I still think with him there, the Canadiens will be able to make the playoffs because he's not the one that's expected to produce 50, 60 points. Granted, next to Laine and Demidov, it might be an automatic, just like it was if you played next to Mario Lemieux, Rob Brown, or if you played next to Wayne Gretzky, Dave Semenko. Dave Semenko got more points just because he was there and he touched the puck than any other guy in NHL history. So, why not Jake Evans? Put it in the comments. I know people want Mason McTavish. I know some people want Pavel Zacha. And just the other day, people were clamoring about Casey Middlestat, which is a dead no, as far as I'm concerned. But I know that you want that caliber of player. But what if you already have that caliber of player a year or two away, and you just need to be a little bit more patient? Would you be willing to put Jake Evans as a second-line center? Think about it and put it in the comments. And if you think I'm crazy, you can put that in the comments too, although I might ignore it. I don't know what else to say as far as the second-line center position is concerned. To me, what they've been able to do through the draft and the acquisitions that they've made has been more than enough to prove to me that the management team has a plan and they know what they're doing. And if you remember a few years back, when Saku Koivu was the captain of the Montreal Canadiens, we only had him as a legitimate center. And we were clamoring to have somebody else as a second-line center. That somebody else ended up being Thomas Plekanec, who wasn't really a second-line center. He was more of a third. But we were still clamoring. We need a superstar at center. We need a superstar at center. We don't have him yet. And there's no guarantees that the guys we trade for are going to become those superstars at center. And in the 2C spot, you don't really need a superstar at center. You need somebody who can win faceoffs, be productive, and be a defensive conscience. And guess what? Jake Allen fits that bill.